The wind off Miller's Lake was sharper than usual that morning, threading cold fingers through the pines. Sheriff Dana Crowley had grown used to the silence of this place, but today it felt heavier, like the air itself was waiting. Hurricane 9, Ash, stood rigid at the water's edge, ears pinned, eyes fixed on the still surface. He wasn't whining, wasn't barking, just staring unblinking, as if the lake were staring back. By the time the divers arrived, Dana already knew in her bones. Something lay beneath, something the town had tried hard to bury. The lake was glass, smooth and unbroken, except for the occasional ripple of wind. Sheriff Dana Crowley watched her reflection waver in it. Dark hair pulled back, the hard lines at the corners of her eyes that no amount of sleep ever erased. She looked older than 42, though she rarely admitted that to herself. Ash shifted beside her, weight low on his haunches, his amber gaze locked on the water, like a soldier on guard. Dana knelt, pressing her hand gently to the back of his neck. His muscles were tight, quivering with an alertness she trusted more than her own instincts. "You smell something, boy," she murmured. Ash didn't move. Just the lake, just the silence. Behind her, boots cracked gravel. Deputy Ray Candler approached, his heavy frame silhouetted by the rising sun. "You've been out here since dawn?" His voice carried skepticism, but also a flicker of concern. Dana rose, brushing dirt from her jeans. "Ash won't leave the shoreline." Ray scratched his jaw. He was younger than her by a decade, with a sort of smooth-faced confidence she both envied and distrusted. Maybe he caught scent of a deer carcass. "Happens." "No," Dana said, sharper than intended. Then softer, "It's not that." They stood together, staring at the water. The past weeks had been restless in Greyhaven. Their town had just under 2,000 souls. Rumors spread faster than wildfire, ignited by whispers of missing money from the county clerk's office, of teenagers vanishing into the woods, of secrets dredged up when folks had too much whiskey at O'Malley's bar. Dana tried to ignore most of it, but she couldn't ignore Ash. He wasn't a dog who made mistakes. From across the lake, an engine rumbled. A sheriff's boat, small and worn, cut across the water. Divers sat inside, black suits gleaming, faces hidden behind masks of stoicism. "Call them in without telling me?" Ray muttered, not angry, more resigned. Dana didn't look at him. "Protocol." "You mean gut feeling?" Ash finally broke his stillness with a low growl, deep and resonant, sending a chill over Dana's skin. His hackles lifted as the boat neared. The lead diver, a wiry man named Ellis, stepped off onto the dock. His handshake was brief, cold. "We're looking for what exactly?" Dana met his eyes. "I don't know, but the dog does." The first dive, the divers slipped into the lake with the quiet grace of shadows. Bubbles surfaced, breaking the glassy calm. Dana followed their movements with tense eyes, every ripple a small betrayal of the silence. Ray shifted uneasily beside her. "You realize if they come up with nothing, folks are going to start talking about you." "They already talk." "Not like this." He lowered his voice. "People still remember last time." Dana stiffened. Last time doesn't matter. But it did. In a town like Greyhaven, nothing stayed buried. Ash barked once, sharp, piercing, and Dana's pulse quickened. Seconds later, the divers resurfaced, masks lifted, breathing hard. Ellis pulled something from the water, dark and sodden. At first, Dana thought it was driftwood. Then she saw the pale curve of fabric, the distinct edge of stitching. A jacket. Her throat tightened. Ray stepped closer, squinting. Teenager's size. Could be anyone's. "Not anyone's," Dana whispered. Her eyes traced the faded lettering stitched on the sleeve. She knew that jacket. She had seen it 2 summers ago, slung carelessly over the back of a chair in O'Malley's. It belonged to Benji Keller. And Benji Keller was supposed to have left town. The weight of memory. That night, the station was quiet except for the hum of the fluorescent lights. Dana sat in her office, jacket sealed in evidence bag, staring at it like it might confess on its own. Benji Keller, 17, bright-eyed, reckless, with a grin that dared the world to stop him. He'd been her daughter Emily's friend, once. Too close for Dana's liking. He disappeared one August evening, his truck abandoned near Route 6. Folks said he ran off. Couldn't stand the suffocating grip of a small town. Some swore they'd seen him hitching near the interstate. No body, no proof, no case. Dana let it lie, though it never sat right with her. Now here was his jacket, dredged from the bottom of Miller's Lake. A knock rattled her door. Ray stepped in, carrying 2 coffees. "Can't say I'm surprised you're still here." He set one down in front of her. "Figure you haven't eaten." Dana managed a tight smile. "Thanks." Ray sat, leaning back in the chair across from her. What if the kid did just toss the jacket? You know how teenagers are. Dana shook her head. Not Benji. He wore this thing like a second skin. If he left town, he wouldn't have left it behind. Ray studied her, then let out a long breath. "You think he's down there?" Dana didn't answer. Ash's restlessness. At home, Ash paced. Normally calm. The dog was restless, ears flicking toward the window as though the lake still called to him. Dana watched him, unease settling heavy in her chest. She poured herself a drink, cheap bourbon, half a glass, but it did nothing to steady her. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You should stop digging. Some things are meant to stay buried." The words blurred for a moment, the drink warming her throat but chilling her stomach. She reread it twice, then a third time. She didn't show the message to Ray. Not yet. Broken trust. By the third day, the divers returned. This time, Ash barked before they even entered the water, a sound that echoed across the lake like a warning. Hours passed. Then a shout from Ellis. "We've got something." The crowd that had gathered, locals drawn by gossip like moths, pressed closer to the shore. Dana pushed through, Ash at her side, heart pounding with the rhythm of a war drum. The divers surfaced, struggling with a shape heavy and cumbersome. When it broke the water, the gasps were sharp and collective. A body bag. Dana's vision tunneled, her breath caught. The weight of 2 years of unanswered questions came crashing down. Ray swore under his breath. Christ. The bag was hauled ashore, dripping and grim. The zipper slid, teeth clinking, revealing what the lake had hidden. A human form, skeletal but unmistakable. And on its wrist, a bracelet Dana recognized instantly. Her daughter Emily's. The body lay on the table, bones draped in what little remained of flesh. Strands of hair still clinging to the skull. The forensic tech, Marcy Dunlap, adjusted her gloves with a snap. She was meticulous, clinical, but even she couldn't hide the unease curling around her movements. "Female," Marcy said finally. "Likely late teens." The water slowed decomposition, but not enough to keep identity hidden forever. She angled the wrist toward Dana. The bracelet, though tarnished, still caught the light. Dana swallowed hard. "It's Emily's." Ray shifted behind her, his presence like a shadow she couldn't shake. Could be someone else's bracelet. Girls trade jewelry all the time. Dana's head whipped toward him. Not this one. Emily made it at camp when she was 12. She never took it off. Silence fell, thick and suffocating. Emily Crowley had vanished 18 months ago. Everyone in town whispered about it. Some said she ran away, like Benji Keller. Others blamed Dana herself. Too strict, too controlling. But no evidence, no body, meant Dana could never prove anything. Until now, Marcy cleared her throat. "We'll run dental records to confirm, but Sheriff, I think you already know. The past refuses to stay buried." That night, Dana sat at her kitchen table, lights dim, bourbon untouched. The glass sat sweating in front of her. Ash lay at her feet, restless again, tail thumping occasionally like he sensed her thoughts. She pulled out an old photograph. Emily, with her reckless smile and storm-colored eyes, arms slung around Benji Keller's shoulders, both of them grinning at the camera like they had the whole world ahead of them. Dana traced Emily's face with her thumb. She had replayed that night over and over, the shouting match about curfew, Emily storming out, the slammed door that reverberated like a gunshot. Dana had thought she'd come back. She always had, but she didn't. Now, the lake had given her back a body, but not answers. Her phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. Stop, or you'll lose more than you already have. Dana's hand clenched around the phone, knuckles whitening. Fear rippled through her, but beneath it, rage simmered hotter. Whoever sent this knew something. She decided not to tell Ray. Not yet. Trust had always been fragile between them. He was loyal in uniform, but she knew how quickly loyalty could turn when ambition whispered in a man's ear. Confrontations at O'Malley's. Greyhaven's only bar was thick with smoke and murmurs at night. O'Malley's was where secrets lived and died, drowned in whiskey. Dana pushed through the door, the weight of stairs immediately pressing against her. Conversations dipped, then rose again in hushed tones. At the counter sat Caleb Price, a local contractor, shoulders broad, face roughened by years of sun and labor. He looked up, half-smirk on his lips. "Sheriff, thought you'd be knee-deep in paperwork." Dana slid onto the stool beside him. "Funny, thought you'd be home with your family." Caleb chuckled, but there was no warmth in it. "Family's asleep. Besides, figured you'd be looking for answers. That lake don't give 'em up easy." Her jaw tightened. Caleb had been close with Benji. Too close. The night Emily vanished, Caleb had been one of the last to see her, though he'd sworn otherwise. "Anything you want to tell me?" she asked. He leaned in, whiskey breath hot against her. "Yeah, you ought to be careful where you're digging. Some of us don't want old ghosts stirred up." The threat was subtle, but it landed sharp. Dana stood, her hand brushing her holster just enough for him to notice. "Ghosts don't scare me, Caleb. The living do." As she left, she caught Ray's eyes across the room. He'd been there the whole time, watching, not intervening, not helping, just watching. A town of secrets. The following morning, Dana returned to the lake. Mist curled over the surface, soft and deceptive, like a blanket hiding teeth. Ash moved restlessly, circling, nose twitching. Ray arrived late, coffee in hand. He looked tired, or maybe guilty. Got word from state police. They'll want jurisdiction now that it's a homicide. Dana bristled. "This is my case." "Your daughter, your town conflict of interest, Dana. You know that." Her eyes narrowed. "You gonna report me?" Ray hesitated. "Not if you play it smart." She saw it then, the calculation behind his calm. Ray was already positioning himself. Sheriff if she went down. Ash barked suddenly, tearing both their attention back to the water. He darted toward the far side of the lake, hackles raised. Dana followed, Ray reluctantly trailing. There, half buried in the mud near the reeds, lay something metallic. Dana crouched, brushing dirt aside. A watch. Cracked face, waterlogged. Recognition hit, like a blade. Benji Keller's watch. Fractures in trust. Back at the station, Dana placed the watch beside the jacket. Two relics of the past, now heavy with accusation. Ray leaned against the desk, arms folded. Could still mean nothing. Benji loses a jacket, drops a watch. Doesn't mean he's dead. Dana snapped, because that's exactly what it means. Two kids vanish, and now their things wash up in the same lake? You think that's coincidence? Ray's silence was damning. Finally, he sighed, if you're right, it's bigger than either of us. And if you're wrong, Dana, you'll bury yourself for good. Before she could reply, the phone rang. Marcy's voice crackled through. You'd better come down here. I've got results. The autopsy twist. Marcy met them with a folder clutched to her chest. Her expression was grim. The body's female. Dental confirms it's Emily. Dana's knees nearly buckled, but she forced herself to stand tall. Marcy hesitated before continuing. Cause of death isn't drowning. The lungs don't match. She was dead before she went into the lake. Blunt force trauma to the skull. Someone killed her. The room spun, nausea climbing Dana's throat. She gripped the edge of the table. And there's more, Marcy said softly. I found traces of rope on the bones. She was bound. Ray muttered a curse, running a hand through his hair. But Dana barely heard him. Her gaze had locked on the small evidence tray, where Marcy had placed a final item recovered from the body. A ring. Not Emily's. A man's ring. Dana picked it up, turning it over in her hand. Inscribed on the inside were 2 initials. CP. Caleb Price. The breaking point. Night swallowed Greyhaven whole. Dana sat in her car outside Caleb Price's house. Headlights off, engine low. The place was quiet. Too quiet. Ash sat rigid in the passenger seat, eyes locked on the house. Every instinct in him screamed tension. Dana gripped the steering wheel until her palms ached. She should call for backup. She should wait. But patience had never been her gift, especially when Emily's name bled through every corner of this. Her phone buzzed. Another text. Last warning. Leave it alone. This time, Dana didn't hesitate. She dialed the number back. It rang once, twice, and then, from inside Caleb Price's house, she heard the phone ringing. Closing scene, Chapter 2. Dana's heart slammed against her ribs. Ash barked furiously, claws raking the dashboard as if to drive her forward. In the glow of the porch light, Caleb's shadow moved across the living room window, a figure with broad shoulders, slow and deliberate, as if waiting for her to make a choice. Ray's words echoed in her head. If you're right, it's bigger than either of us. But all Dana felt now was a mother's fury, a sheriff's resolve, and a gnawing truth she couldn't yet see. She stepped out of the car, hand on her holster, and the night, heavy and breathless, seemed to lean closer, listening. The floorboards creaked under Dana's boots as she stepped onto Caleb Price's porch. Her hand hovered near her holster, not quite drawing, not quite trusting. Inside, a faint light glowed from the living room. Shadows moved against the curtains, slow, deliberate. Ash growled low at her side, hackles bristling. Dana knocked, firm. The sound echoed through the quiet night. No answer. She tried the handle. Unlocked. The smell hit her first. Stale whiskey, damp wood, something metallic. She entered, eyes sweeping the room. Caleb sat in an armchair, phone in hand, face half lit by the lamp. He didn't look surprised to see her. Evening, Sheriff, he drawled. Or should I say grieving mother? Her stomach nodded. You've got a lot of nerve. Depends how you look at it. I warned you. Twice. He gestured to the phone on the table. But you don't listen, do you? Dana's hand tightened on her weapon. Where's the rest of her story, Caleb? You killed my daughter. Didn't you? His laughter was low, broken, almost pitying. You think it's that simple? That I just snapped and tossed her in the lake? Her bracelet, your ring, her body in the water. It's enough. He leaned forward, voice dropping. You want the truth? Fine. Emily came to me that night. Scared. Said she couldn't trust you. Dana froze. Liar. She said you'd been fighting. That you hit her. The word struck like a whip. I never. You think folks don't talk? You were hard on her. Dana. Everyone knew it. You wanted her perfect. She was breaking under you. The accusation pierced deeper than a blade. She'd been strict, yes, too strict at times. But violent? Never. Caleb rose slowly, towering over her. Emily told me she and Benji had seen something. Something they weren't supposed to. And that's why they were running. That's why she came to me. Dana's blood chilled. Running from what? Before he could answer, the door slammed open. Ray stood there, gun drawn. His eyes flicked between them. Drop it, Caleb. For a moment, relief surged in Dana's chest. Then she saw the look in Ray's eyes, not at Caleb, but at her. Calculating. Cold. The betrayal. Ray, she said slowly. What are you doing? He kept the gun steady. You weren't supposed to get this far, Dana. Her heart plummeted. You knew. Ray's jaw tightened. I didn't mean for Emily to get hurt. She wasn't the target. But once she and Benji saw, he stopped himself, too late. Dana's mouth went dry. Saw what? Ray's silence was the answer. Caleb smirked bitterly. Guess the mask finally slips, huh, deputy? Ray's gun shifted toward him. Shut your mouth. Dana's mind spun. Emily and Benji had stumbled onto something Ray had buried. Caleb had helped cover it. Maybe even tried to protect them. That's why his ring was in the lake. That's why the text came from his phone. He wasn't innocent, but he wasn't the one pulling the strings. It was Ray, the loyal deputy, the one she'd trusted with her flank, her town. Her rage boiled over. "You son of a bitch." Ray's voice wavered just a little. It wasn't supposed to go this way. Benji was blackmailing the clerk. Found out about the missing county funds. I was supposed to shut him up, not Emily. She got in the way. Dana's vision blurred with tears she refused to shed. She was a kid. My kid. I didn't want to. The rest was cut off by Ash. The K9 lunged, teeth bared, slamming into Ray's arm. The gun went off. A deafening crack. Bullets splintering the ceiling. Chaos erupted. Caleb dove for cover. Dana drew her weapon, heart hammering. Ray struggled, shouting, as Ash tore into him with primal fury. Dana steadied her aim. One shot. Ray dropped, gun clattering to the floor, blood soaking his sleeve where Ash had ripped him open. He groaned, rage and pain twisting his face. "You'll never prove it," he spat. "They'll think you killed her. You'll lose everything." Dana stood over him, gun unwavering. "I've already lost everything that mattered." The aftermath of violence. Sirens wailed in the distance, called by the neighbors who'd heard the gunfire. Dana didn't wait. She cuffed Ray herself, reading him his rights with a voice that shook but didn't break. Caleb sat slumped in the corner, eyes hollow, phone discarded. When the deputies arrived, the story spread like wildfire. By dawn, Greyhaven buzzed with the revelation. Deputy Ray Candler arrested for the murder of Emily Crowley and Benji Keller. Dana gave her statement mechanically, word stiff, like she was reading them from someone else's script. Every sentence cut deeper. Ray had betrayed not only her trust, but the badge they both wore. Caleb's involvement was murkier. He'd withheld the truth, tried to shield himself. But the ring, the warnings, the lies made him complicit. He would face charges too. Still, none of it brought Emily back. Quiet reckonings. 3 days later, Dana returned to the lake. The water was calm again, deceptive in its stillness. Ash sat beside her, head resting on her knee, his presence the only steady thing left in her life. She scattered wildflowers across the surface, Emily's favorites. They drifted, small bursts of color against the endless gray. Her mind replayed Emily's laughter, her stubbornness, the way she used to run barefoot through the grass no matter how many times Dana told her put shoes on. All those little moments she'd once found irritating now cut her to pieces. The truth had come out, but it felt hollow. Justice didn't erase the guilt, the fights they'd had, the last words spoken in anger, the silence that followed. "Maybe I failed you," she whispered to the water, "but I swear I'll make them pay." Ash whined softly, pressing closer. The town reacts. Greyhaven was never the same. Some saw Dana as a hero for exposing corruption in her own ranks. Others whispered darker things, that she'd known all along, that the line between mother and sheriff had blurred beyond recognition. At O'Malley's, men lowered their voices when she walked in. At the grocery store, women avoided her gaze, but few offered quiet nods of respect. The county brought in outside investigators. Dana's badge hung by a thread, but she didn't care. Her fight was done. The twist of memory. One evening, as she cleared Emily's room for the first time since her disappearance, Dana found a notebook under the mattress. Pages filled with messy handwriting, doodles, dreams. And at the back, a note, half-written, never sent. "Mom, I know you don't trust me, but Benji and I found something. If anything happens to us, look at Ray. Please. I love you." The words blurred as Dana's tears finally broke free. Emily had tried to warn her. She'd seen the danger long before Dana had. And Dana hadn't listened. She pressed a notebook to her chest, sobbing into the silence of her daughter's room. Final resolution. Months later, Ray stood trial. The evidence, Emily's note, the embezzlement trail, the diver's discoveries, sealed his fate. Caleb testified reluctantly, painting a picture of threats and manipulation that had bound him to silence. The verdict was guilty, but there was no victory in it, only an echo of justice long delayed. Dana resigned as sheriff soon after. The badge felt poison, heavy with betrayal. She spent her mornings walking Ash along the lake's edge, the place where everything had begun and ended. The townsfolk still whispered. Some pitied her, some blamed her. She let them, because in the quiet moments, when the mist rose off Miller's Lake and the world was hushed, she swore she could feel Emily beside her, not in body, but in spirit. And for Dana, that was enough to keep breathing, enough to keep going. Closing image. The lake shimmered under the rising sun, calm, indifferent, eternal. Dana stood on the shore, Ash at her side, flowers drifting across the surface. She whispered her daughter's name to the wind, letting it carry across the water. A mother, a sheriff, a survivor, but forever, a woman haunted by what the K9 had unearthed from the depths.